Special meeting for dated July 23rd, 2020. And before we get going into our business, why don't we take a roll call and see who we have here today?
Harry Andrews.
And before we get going into our business, did we have a glitch there?
No, I just, as I go, excuse me, as it goes live on YouTube, I have to watch it start and then I pause it. So you'll hear it's delayed by a few seconds. So that's
all right. I heard Commissioner Andrews. Who else do we have?
Mark Chamberlain.
Chris Parks.
Jason Vanderveen.
All right, real good. I believe in Dave Hansen, board chair. All right, we just have a little bit of business we want to cover today. I think what I'd like to do is, I want to talk a little bit about the agenda. One we have on the agenda is talk a little bit about the North Whatcom's, the District 21's July 16th board meeting, and just a little discussion on that due to the fact that we're going to address that group today. Did we lose the Quins?
No, they're here.
Okay, good.
I'm muted.
All right. I just lost their picture. And then, so we'll talk about that. We'll also have a little bit of discussion on the Regional Fire Authority and kind of where we're at. And then hopefully we'll move into voting on a resolution directed at forming a Regional Fire Authority Planning Committee. It may sound redundant because last week we made a motion to move that direction by sending a letter of intent. But correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but I believe, but to do it properly, we did need to pass a resolution, do this by a resolution. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so that is our goal today. So on that note, does anybody have Harry, do you want to start out with anything, or would you like me to jump into that, or Mark?
Go ahead.
Okay. So at their meeting, we'd sent the letters, as everybody understands. We'd sent a letter stating our intentions to move forward with a resolution, come forward with a resolution to form an RFA, a planning committee. We sent that letter. At the same time, we'd sent the letter that we thought was very clearly spelled out in that letter and in a prior notification, and as well when Commissioner Ansel and I met with the local, where we knew that to go forward, we didn't want to make issues of the past ILA. There was, if we had concerns with that, they'd asked us for those concerns several times and asked us to give them our concerns. We were trying to get more information together, and we told them that as well. We were having our legal counsel review that ILA. Once that was done, we spelled out the concerns that we had, regardless if we wanted to make issue with them or not. We all agreed, let's put the past behind us and let's move forward. Somehow they didn't seem to understand when we sent that letter. Quite honestly, I felt, and I believe all of us did, or thus that we're here, that we talked with, but it almost came across as a little bit of disrespected the way Commissioner Crawford made it very clear. He stated that he felt we were talking out of both sides of our mouths, where we had came out and clearly said we understood to go forward. We wanted to put the past ILA, put it in the past. That means to do that. And Chief Vanderveen in that meeting said we had to use the legal terms to terminate that a contract. But we sent them a notice in our letters that our full intention was to build a new ILA. At the same time, we're working on our RFA. The intention would be that we would also build an ILA that could be that bridge to get us to passing the RFA. So I know I'm using a lot of IFA, RFAs. I'm not so sure that they received all the proper if the whole boards receive the information. In fairness to Commissioner Crawford, I'm not so sure he received the draft IR or ILA that we had submitted for them to look at. I know, Chief, you received a copy of that, and I know you stated you passed that on to Chief Ansel, but I don't know, did their entire board get that draft ILA before that last meeting?
Well, I was waiting for a more solid draft. And
Yeah.
in the letter, you had indicated that there would be something coming. So I did share that with Commissioner Ansel and with Richard Davis. When I
Right.
first got it, but no, I did not send it to the entire board. But like I said in the letter, it stated to wait. And I guess your letter had signaled to me that I made the right choice, because it said, we're working on a draft ILA. We'll get it to you as soon as possible. So my impression was that I'd done the right thing.
Yeah, I think you probably did. I'm sure not questioning whether it was right or wrong. I just wasn't sure how, where maybe that was a drop the ball on my end here, and that's real possible. Joe, do you want to kind of step in on that, how we did that process?
Well, I think you accurately characterized it. We did have to talk about the shortcomings of the current arrangement in order to explain why we wanted a new arrangement, a new ILA. And you've said all along that you want to proceed with consideration of an RFA, but you need something. You called it a bridge. I call it sort of a transitional agreement, or a bridge is fine. And that was the intent. But it's pretty hard to talk about why you need a new ILA without talking about the shortcomings of the old ILA that prompted you to do it in the first place. So I don't fault what was done at all. In these kinds of situations, there's always a risk of miscommunication and misunderstanding. It's better probably to try to work through those than to let them blow up if they don't get addressed.
Sure.
I prefer to talk about the issues. What are the real issues between us that led you to be dissatisfied with the way it was working out and led you to believe you wanted a new one? I think you've got it right. It's very difficult to give them a draft ILA that goes into every single detail. You need to work into that sort of gradually, I think. And it's less important, frankly, than the planning committee and the RFA consideration, because it's not a permanent arrangement. It's only intended to be a bridge. So I think it's more important to talk about planning for the RFA and see if there's a serious chance that you can get that done.
Right.
You may find out, I hate to say it, but you may find out that it can't be done, or that there's too many personality conflicts or turf wars or union problems or whatever. There's an awful lot of issues that can come up. So supposing that you find out in the planning process that it just isn't working, then you can put more time into salvaging what you do have by negotiating a new ILA. So it's kind of like the chicken or the egg. It's kind of like, which do we put first, the horse or the cart,
Sure.
And I'm of a mind that you try to do both at the same time, but I wouldn't get too bogged down in the details of the new ILA until you find out that the RFA planning process just isn't going to work out. Because if it does work out and you get going on it, this bridge ILA is going to be real short.
That's right. And that's really our hopes and our belief that it will be very short, that we will move forward into the RFA planning committee. I'm not trying to make excuses, but this COVID Zoom meetings, not being able to be in a room together where we can look each other in the face and explain ourselves, or explain our positions somewhat more clearly. I think when you're in a room together, it's been difficult, and I definitely have made some mistakes myself. But I think the importance is that our boards, the respect and the commitment together is so important. And hopefully we're not that far away from where we can all get in a room together again. Nothing is more important to me and being here on this department as a commissioner than passing this RFA and ensuring the rank and file out there, the bargaining unit, that their jobs are going to be there tomorrow. And it seems like every time we get talking, something is said to in a direction where we get people nervous again. And that is not our intent. That is why we treaded so lightly at our last meeting. We didn't even want to use the word terminate an agreement, but bottom line is that's what you have to do to go forward. Especially with dealing with the financials and some of the concerns that we have with it, just to make sure we can get to the end game. On that note, misunderstandings, I sent out a note to a few people, but I spoke with Chief Hewitt from Bellingham Fire last week, and I spoke to him a few other times as well. And each time he was very clear to me that the city of Bellingham wasn't an option of going to them. And if something didn't work out with North Waukon or with District 21, was it an option to go there that direction as an RFA with them? I understand anything could happen, but he was very clear that is, we've got a relationship, they have a relationship through the bargaining units, and they will do nothing to jeopardize that position. So I kind of misunderstood where I was thinking, to the point, if something happened with North Waukon, we were to terminate our agreement and they didn't want to go forward with an RFA, I took what the chief said to mean that then they would talk to us. That is not the case. He didn't commit to that. He didn't make that comment. What he said is, currently we have our agreements with North Waukon, with District 21, and they also have relationships there. So I just wanted to put that fairness out there, that Chief Hewitt did not in any sense say they would come in here and jump in and take care of us or pick up the pieces. So that was my bad. I just wanted that on the record as part of this RFA conversation.
Sir, if I could, just real quick, and if I'm out of line, I'll take my lumps.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go back to something Mr. Quinn said, that, there was all potential hangups. I want to give credit to, and I know this could be a controversial comment, but give credit to the local. They really kind of blazed the path towards this about 10 years ago, when all the bargaining units, all the separate locals dissolved and came together as one local in Whatcom County. And really, they took the ability for us as command staff or as legislative bodies to blame or kind of say that the local is hanging things up in consolidations, mergers, RFAs. We don't have any labor issues with 4 and 21 coming together. We don't have any operational issues. We've been working together for 10 years. It's and this is where I'm going to stick it out there, but really we the firefighters, we the service providers, and the citizens need the elected bodies to come together and see if this is the best thing. Is it fiscally responsible? Is it a consolidation that makes sense? And if we can move past that and answer that question, and in my core, I believe it is. It is the best thing for the average taxpayer. Then we need to move forward with it. It's our duty.
Anybody have anything they want to comment? I think that was well put, Jason, and or Chief, I'm sorry.
That's right.
And I think that, again, with Mr. Quinn, when Mr. Quinn was spelling it out, he's just putting it out as in general. We all understand the one thing that we've got going for us is probably the hang up area that we've got is two different governing boards. Because from the rank and file, I think that's the easiest transition. That's why it wouldn't, sure, it'd be nice to have Ferndale or Linden or even the city of Bellingham want to join in on this RFA. But I think we all have discussed it's much simpler for this relationship, because all bargaining unit issues are all, there's none. There isn't any that I would know of. And that makes this much simpler. And it's not like we just decided to meet, hook up, and let's form this. We've had, like you said, 8 to 10 years of hard work coming into kind of building this relationship. Now, you know, as we get ready to move forward with an RFA, it's so important that we do clean up the loose ends. We have, you know, we have that. Joe used one term, I used the bridging term, but we have something in place that can just get us there. I don't think that there's any doubt that both boards truly want this and want an RFA. And I think once that's done, the governing body, is everybody needs to understand, that's a whole brand new governing body. It looks different. It's not District 21 and we have control, or District 4 and we have control. It's a new governing body, and that's going to look much different. It may be the same people, but how we structure that and how we did it at South Wacom anyway is, or how Chief Ralston and the folks there did, is they have districts, commissioner districts. I don't know how, Joe, could you talk a little bit on how that structures?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
The plan will contain a governance element. One of the elements of every RFA plan is, how's the governance going to work? And there really can be a lot of variety and a lot of creativity there. Different RFAs have done it completely differently. VRFA, the first RFA in the state, is unique because it's 3 cities. They've consistently maintained in their plan that it will be 1 mayor and 2 council members from each city. That's the 9-member governing board at VRFA. It's always been that way and it hasn't changed. When they did the second regional fire authority, also our client in Centralia, it was the blending of the city of Centralia with Fire District 12, I guess the number was. And they decided to dissolve the district eventually. So there is no more Fire District 12. But when they combined, it was initially 3, the mayor and 2 council members, again, kind of like VRFA, and 3 commissioners, all 3 commissioners of the fire district. But they changed the plan later on and made it 5 at large, not districting like you just mentioned, Dave, but they made it 5 at large governance commissioners elected by all the people in the RFA. So there's that model. Then there's one you mentioned, and at least another one in the state where they did districting, which means that they divide like a city does usually. A city does this, and it's the old ward system in politics, where you have each commissioner elected only by the people in their district. In other words, their portion of the RFA elects their rep. So you could do it that way. There's so many different ways of doing it and allocating the governance seats that I can honestly say there is no hard and fast rule, which is good. It kind of leaves it up to you folks to decide on your planning committee what you want to recommend to the boards of the 2 districts. They've got 5 now and you've got 3, right?
Right.
So one model might be, the planning committee might recommend that the board consist of the 5 commissioner initially,
Sure.
the 5 commissioners of District 21 and the 3 commissioners of District 4. That would be sort of non-controversial, I would think. But that would be one model. Another model might be, well, we don't want to have an even number, because for parliamentary practice, sometimes an even number is sort of awkward.
Yeah.
And when you can have ties and who breaks the ties and all of that nonsense. So sometimes an odd number is better. So the planning committee as a group, the 6 people, the 6 elected officials on the planning committee could kick around other models. I don't know how deep you want to go into this, but you can see how
Yeah,
there could be different ways. It's so flexible in the law. You could say, well, wait a minute, what's the population served by District 21 versus the population served by District 4? And let's kind of go with that ratio. You could do a lot of things. I don't want to taint the process by telling you to do it one way. There is no one way, Dave.
all right. Well, that's good. And that was a lot of information. That was good information is there isn't really a hard set way. And so that does sound like the planning committee at recommendations, I believe of, we're doing it the way we should be doing it. We'll take our recommendations from the chief and his consultants and that are working with him to include Chief Ralston, who I have a lot of respect for. So I think we'll look at what they've done, and we'll also, I know that we'll probably be seeking advice from some of these other RFAs that are already out there within the state that may be able to give us some direction too. So, and I know you both have been very involved with that. So,
And Dave, you might think of along these lines, if you want to assemble a library, so to speak, the plans of all the different RFAs in the state are readily available through the MRSC. If you don't already have them, you should get all those plans and kind of compare the plans element by element. How did they deal with governance, like we're just talking about? How did they deal with finance? How did they deal with all the human resources issues and asset issues? So you study these other plans, you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
You can
Sure.
kind of see what you like. You can pick and choose the way that fits for Whatcom County, that fits for you folks, because you're the people that put this together. But
All
I would
right.
definitely get all the information possible. There's a lot out there.
all right. Well, that's a big help to me, and I think hopefully to everybody. And Chris, I think I saw you were probably making some notes there to see if you can pull some of that together. Chief Vanderby may already have all of those, but if he
I have
doesn't,
some
maybe
too.
we could get those and share them with him as well, and also share them with the District 21 board if they don't have them already. So, we really have to start thinking like that as a team. When we do something for one, we should be thinking about doing it for everybody. So not everybody's having to go out and reinvent the wheel. All right, on that note, welcome back, Commissioner Chamberlain. Hopefully you had a good time on your trip.
Thank you. Yeah, it is.
Very good, very good. On that note, do we have any other discussion before we move forward with passing resolution 2020-2, forming a regional fire authority planning committee with North Whatcom Fire District 21, Whatcom County Fire District 21. Any discussion?
None here.
A motion
None
to
here.
approve the resolution?
So moved.
Second on that?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Or
Aye.
I guess I should have said discussion, since there's no more discussion. I'll say aye and the motion passes.
Aye.
So on
Aye.
that note, we have that resolution is written up. Everybody should have seen that. And basically it looks just like the one that I believe, hopefully that North Whatcom District 21 will pass today.
Yep.
And except we flipped the verbiage around, just ours is ours and theirs is theirs. And I truly hope, I don't want to go into their meeting and dwell on the past. I just want to make sure, and we've asked Mr. Quinn if he would also, or both of them or one, but would attend on that meeting to be able to just kind of, what my hopes was, Joe, is that we can just kind of walk through the letter that we did send them and kind of explain our purposing there, as well as letting them know that today we did pass this resolution.
Sounds
And
good. to
then
me.
we will get out of their business. So they'll get us on and get us out, I'm sure, as quick as they can. Commissioner Andrews, anything else?
Nothing here.
Commissioner Chamberlain, anything else?
Nothing here.
All right, and the Quinns, father sons. Anything else from you folks right now?
I don't think we have anything. I think it would be easy to present that to District 21 the way you said. We need to stress that short transitional agreement is just that the goal should be to move forward together and not to quibble about, well, maybe it's not quibbling, but we don't want to talk in depth about problems that have
No.
existed. We want to talk about solutions, not problems.
That sounds really good. And I believe that our entire board feels that way, and Chris. And so that's exactly what we want to do, and get this stuff just moving forward. So on that note, if there's nothing else, Chief Vanderveen, anything from you, sir?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for your patience. On that note, then we'll go ahead, and it is 9:30 a.m. on the dot. We'll go ahead and adjourn our meeting. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We hear you there. Thanks, Mark. All right, everybody, we can end the meeting.